Naruto Reincarnations. Another one of the late game retcons that Kishimoto did that ruined a multitude of things in the Naruto story. This one in particular ruined Naruto's character the most, and also Sasuke because he's involved. Now, to really understand how bad this retcon is, I have to explain how reincarnation works in the Naruto universe, because it's not exactly how most people expect, and a lot of people, even people that read or watched Naruto several times, don't even know exactly how reincarnation works in Naruto. Well, mostly because it was introduced at the very end of the story pretty much out of nowhere, so yeah, it's understandable people wouldn't really pay much attention to it. When you hear the word reincarnation, you assume it's when the soul of a dead person comes back into the world and is reborn into a new person, and those two people are going to be connected via a spiritual link, in a sense. Having had the same soul in different time periods, they may have similar experiences, similar personality traits, and perhaps are even working towards the same grand goal. And yes, Naruto and Sasuke share all these things with Indra and Ashura, and also Madara and Hashirama, their previous reincarnations. But do they really share the same soul? Well, the concept of a soul certainly exists in the Naruto story and has been established ever since Naruto Part 1. The first time we get introduced to it and we get confirmation that souls indeed exist in Naruto was when Hiruzen used the Reaper Death Seal, and you could literally see the guy's soul, and he was sealing Hashirama and Tobirama's soul as the Edo Tensei so that he could deal with them, and he also attempted to seal Orochimaru's soul, but he failed and only got his arms, only a fraction of his soul. We then see other jutsus like the Human Path, who could extract souls and kill people in the process. The Edo Tensei itself is a jutsu that reattaches the soul of a dead person to a simulacrum of their body, and the Rinne Tensei is a jutsu that brings somebody back to life by pulling their soul out of the Pure Lands and recreating their body, or perhaps even using their dead body. It depends on the mechanics. If the person has been dead for a long time, you have to pull the soul out of the Pure Lands. You can only bring one person back with Rinne Tensei, and you can rebuild their body, which is what we saw with Madara. But if you want to bring back someone that died recently, their souls haven't yet reached the Pure Lands, which is heaven in Naruto essentially, you can bring their souls back much easier into their bodies, and so you can revive many more people than just one, which is exactly what Nagato does in the end of the Pain arc, resurrecting pretty much half of the Leaf Village. But we never learned anything about a soul being reborn into another, which would essentially be what the resurrection is, and this is one of the problems. It was introduced way too late in the story as too much of a pivotal plot point, so it felt like it came out of nowhere, and those things usually don't work in a story. To be honest though, this isn't the main issue with the reincarnation though. The fact that it came late in the game doesn't matter nearly as much as other problems that it has. If you're wondering, well, hold on a second. If reincarnations are about a soul being reborn into a new person, how come Sasuke and Madara were alive at the same time? Because if you don't remember, in the war arc, Madara is brought back via Rinne Tensei. He is literally alive at the same time as Sasuke, a guy that he supposedly shares a soul with. They are both reincarnations of Indra. Also, Naruto is alive at the same time as a Hashirama Edo Tensei comes back to life, and they are both reincarnations of Ashura. And you may argue, oh, it wasn't Edo Tensei, it doesn't count. No, the soul has to be attached back to the Edo Tensei. The jutsu is literally called impure reincarnation. The soul is there, but if they both have the same soul, they couldn't be alive at the same time. Are you gonna tell me that Madara and Hashirama as an Edo Tensei in the war don't have souls? That doesn't make sense. They don't look like zombies, having no emotions or personalities. They would act pretty much like they did back in the day when they were alive. So obviously their souls were in their bodies. And obviously Kishimoto needed Madara and Hashirama to be alive at the same time Naruto and Sasuke were in the war, but he realized this would be a mistake if they were to share the same soul. So we arrive to the first major difference that Naruto reincarnations have with reincarnations as most people think of them. Yes, Naruto and Sasuke are reincarnations of Indra and Ashura, but they do not share the same soul. Rather, what reincarnates is Indra and Ashura's chakra, and this is the explanation Hagoromo gives. But now in theory, it would make sense as to how Naruto and Sasuke are alive at the same time as Madara and Hashirama, right? Because they don't technically share a soul, but they still share chakra. And Hagoromo even states, as he's explaining things to Naruto, that Madara was no longer the reincarnation of Indra, because yeah, he was alive at the same time, and therefore Sasuke was the real reincarnation of Indra, but Madara was alive and at full power. But if Sasuke has Indra's chakra now, then how is Madara that powerful? I would assume the chakra reincarnating into somebody else would give that person the powers of Indra, and if you're brought back after your death, you wouldn't be nearly as powerful because you no longer have that powerful chakra. Doesn't seem to be the case though. Madara seemed to be even more powerful powerful than he ever was, even before he becomes the Jinchuriki of the Ten Tails. So you see how that doesn't even make sense. Even if it's not the soul reincarnating, it's the chakra. And it doesn't make sense that Madara is still very powerful and has that power of Indra in him when he is reborn, and because Sasuke was supposed to be the one possessing it. Unfortunately, we don't know anything else for certain about the mechanics of reincarnation in the Naruto series. We don't know if that's something normal that happens with every soul, or if it only happened to Indra and Ashura because they were special and the child of the Sage of Six Paths. Now, the reason we're given as to why their chakra reincarnates in other people along the ages is because Indra and Ashura had completely opposite worldviews. Indra sought to attain power alone. He believed bonds were weakness, just like Sasuke does in the present day. He wishes to sever his bond so that he can take revenge for his clan, and then to destroy the Leaf Village, and then to create a revolution in the world and bring peace to the shinobi system. Ashura, on the other hand, only attains power because he seeks bonds and accepts the help of other people to become powerful, just like Naruto and even Hashirama. So this feud between Indra and Ashura was so deeply ingrained into their personalities, they had such opposite worldviews, that even after their deaths, their chakra kept on returning to the world and fighting against each other as reincarnations. And here lies the greatest problem about this entire concept: destiny. It makes so that Naruto and Sasuke were destined to fight against each other because of this pre-existing condition, so to speak. It's not because they had different worldviews, albeit this is part of it. They reincarnated as people who had different worldviews in the past life, but it takes away the agency of both characters. And it also makes the Naruto universe deterministic, meaning that certain things are bound to happen regardless of anything else. Prophecy. And then you may say, well, what about the child of the prophecy that the old Toad Sage was talking about? Was it bad in the Pain arc as well? Not in the Pain arc, but it becomes bad because of the reincarnations. Let me explain. When the Toad Sage makes the prophecy in the Pain arc, he states to Jiraiya that he's going to teach a revolutionary that's either going to bring peace or destruction to the world. And this is supposed to mirror Jiraiya's two most prolific pupils, at least the ones that are still alive at that point of the story, which are Nagato and Naruto. Nagato being the one who could bring destruction, Naruto the one that could bring peace. And yes, technically the prophecy passes. Naruto brings peace in a way in the Pain arc, and eventually for real in the end of the series. However, the old sage's prophecy could have been interpreted as a self-fulfilling prophecy when it was made in the Pain arc. A self-fulfilling prophecy is one that's only fulfilled because it was made in the first place. Whoever listened to it went through the steps of fulfilling that prophecy, making it reality, and then retroactively, oh my god, yeah, the prophecy was true, even though you don't realize that what fulfilled the prophecy were the actions you took. For example, Jiraiya did exactly what the Toad Sage told him to do. He went traveling around the world looking for a student that he could teach, a student that would stop the cycle of hatred, and he eventually found that student in Naruto after a long time. But it was because Jiraiya was looking for that student, and Naruto so happened to be pretty special, being the son of Minato, the Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails, having a lot of responsibility thrusted upon him. And technically, if you're observing the Toad Sage's theory, it actually didn't pass 100% because Jiraiya did not find Naruto as his apprentice in one of his travels. He found him in the Leaf Village, the place where everything started. So you can see how the prophecy could have been interpreted as a self-fulfilling one. Now, one might say that every prophecy is self-fulfilling, but no. In the case of Naruto and Sasuke's reincarnation thing, Hagoromo states that because of their chakra and everything it represented, they were destined to fight against each other regardless of what happened. That was not a self-fulfilling prophecy whatsoever. Also because the prophecy wasn't even made to Naruto and Sasuke before they even started fighting against each other. Sure, they have their final fight after they know about the prophecy, but they had been at odds for a long time before they ever heard that was a thing. And that really cheapens the conflict between Naruto and Sasuke. Now, it's not because of their own convictions, it's because they inherited those convictions from people from the past. It's because they have the will and the characteristics of past lives that are just going to fight against each other because their chakras essentially have to clash in their lifetimes. And this is one of the big problems with the concept, but probably not even the worst one. The worst thing about the reincarnations is just the fact that Naruto and Sasuke are reincarnations of demigods themselves. Now, I have no problem whatsoever with the power levels that Naruto and Sasuke reached by the end of the series. I have no problem with them being the descendants of the Sage of Six Paths. They are the two main characters of the series. Obviously, they're going to be important in the universe and they're going to be powerful. The problem is literally them being reincarnations. We first hear of the Hagoromo Indra Ashura backstory during the Five Kage Summit when Obito tells Naruto, Kakashi, and Yamato about it. He says that the descendants of Indra were the Uchiha clan and the descendants of Ashura, the Senju clan, and even, the Uzumakis and other clans that are adjacent to it, and that Sasuke and Naruto were descendants of the Sage of Six Paths, Indra and Ashura. And the descendants of Indra and Ashura had been fighting for eons, basically. This creates an epic and generational conflict in the Naruto series that's very compelling. And now we know that Naruto and Sasuke are the ones fighting in this present time. It's just that curse of hatred, of never being able to understand each other. The parallels are absolutely evident. You did not have to make them reincarnations, however. There's no point in it. It adds nothing to the story. Indra and Ashura, as well as Madara and Hashirama, could have simply been parallels to Naruto and Sasuke, and that's it. It wouldn't have made the story worse for it, actually would have made it better, because when Naruto and Sasuke are reincarnations, suddenly they become special by default. Not because of their own talents, or because they train harder, no, because someone reincarnated in them. And you may have gotten confused when I said talent there, because you're expecting me to say that Naruto was supposed to be the underdog, and making him the reincarnation of Ashura is just a stupid mistake because it makes him a demigod, not an underdog. And I'll say, yeah, this is kinda true. It does take away from that aspect of Naruto a little bit, but not for the reasons you may think. When people say, well, Naruto was not an underdog because he had the 9 tails, the strongest tail beast inside of him, and he was the son of an exceptionally powerful Hokage, obviously he was an underdog. These people are missing the point. Underdogs are not just the people who lack any talents whatsoever. Underdogs are people that have the odds stacked against them. And Naruto had the odds stacked against him very, very much from the beginning. He was an orphan. He had a demon inside of him. His entire village hated his guts because of that, and because he led to the death of the 4th Hokage. Well, at least how they saw it. Obviously, this isn't the case. And what people have to understand is that Naruto is not a story about hard work beating natural talent. Otherwise, Rock Lee would have won a fight, and Madara would have lost to Guy. It's not even a story about hard work versus natural talent. Sure, this is an aspect of my Guy's and Rock Lee's characters, but it's not nearly everything those characters have going for them, and it's definitely not what the Naruto story is about. Naruto is about how people deal with curses that life and circumstances thrust upon them. And curses could be anything here. It could be a demon inside of you. It could be a brother slaughtering your entire clan in front of you. It could be, in Rock Lee's case, being completely unable to use genjutsu or ninjutsu. Those who lose their humanity because of their curses are the ones in the wrong. Take any Naruto villain pretty much. They let their curses dominate their lives, they lose their humanity, and therefore they are morally wrong for it. You have to be strong and endure these curses. This is the duty of a shinobi. This is the final monologue that Sasuke has in the manga. The thesis statement of Naruto is in chapter 699. To endure is what it means to be a ninja. Take the first Naruto episode / chapter as an example. The first chapter of a manga series, especially a shonen manga, is supposed to be a microcosm of the entire thing. So the core is going to be very prevalent in the first chapter. And the first Naruto chapter has absolutely nothing to do about hard work versus natural talent. Actually, it's pretty much the opposite. Naruto beats a guy that certainly has worked much more than him throughout his life. Mizuki was an adult chunin, so obviously had much more time to practice and hone his abilities than Naruto ever had. And Naruto mastered the Shadow Clone Jutsu in about 2 to 3 hours. It didn't even take him the whole evening. So Naruto didn't have to work all that hard. The point of the first chapter was for Naruto to understand that some people still believe in him, that some people have bonds with him and that love him. Iruka tells Mizuki, I don't care that he is the Jinchuriki of the 9 tails. I want to protect him. And after Iruka protects Naruto, after Naruto understands why Iruka is doing those things, because he has a real bond with him, that's when Naruto uses the multi-shadow clone jutsu for the very first time. He uses 1,000 shadow clones, a feat that no one alive in the whole universe would be able to do. The only person that could probably do something similar to that would be Kisame with water clones, but nobody else that was alive at the time could do something like that. Hashirama would have done that with wood clones, but Naruto is the only person that can do that with shadow clones, and Naruto is a 12-year-old kid that practiced the jutsu for a few hours. He managed to master it to such a ridiculous extent because he clung to his own humanity, which is the whole point of the series. What does it have to do with reincarnations anyway? Well, in Naruto's case, he had the curse of having a demon inside of him. Ever since chapter 1, we know that this is Naruto's main problem in life. It causes all the hardship in his life, and the interesting thing about this story is to see how Naruto deals with that curse. Is he going to give up on his humanity, let the 9 tails loose and wreak havoc, or is he going to get friends, make connections, create bonds, and cling to his humanity? Yes, the 9 tails gives him a powerful boost in power, but the way way Naruto deals with the Nine Tails and every single repercussion that he has to his life is the point of the story. Every time Naruto loses control, even back in the Land of Waves arc, and especially when he becomes the Four Tails against Orochimaru and the Six Tails against Pain, even though he was fighting against despicable villains, it's treated as a horrifying moment. A moment that Naruto was losing himself. He was losing his humanity. He was turning into a monster. Even though he attained great power, that wasn't treated as a triumphant moment. It was horrifying. The Nine Tails moments were triumphant when Naruto tamed its powers, be it by force or by befriending the Nine Tails. Especially befriending the Nine Tails is a moment that signifies Naruto clinging to his humanity and even bringing the humanity of the Nine Tails out of it. Well, if you can even call it humanity, but you get the point, right? Even Naruto's family heritage in of itself is something that causes problems for Naruto. It was because he was the son of the Hokage that he became the Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails in the first place. So these two things that make Naruto very special, his lineage and him being a Jinchuriki, are causes for hardship, or curses, quote unquote. That is the point of Naruto as a character. How is he going to deal with the Nine Tails inside of him? How is he going to convince people that he is not the monster that attacked the village all those years ago? And therefore he is obviously an underdog. Most importantly, because it is not certain that Naruto will be able to conquer the Nine Tails, to tame it, or to even contain it and not lash out. In the Pain arc, he was almost completely consumed by it if he wasn't for Minato. So those things are uncertain. Naruto has to conquer them with his will and guts. But when it comes to Naruto being the reincarnation of Indra, that's much different. Him being the reincarnation was never a source of hardship for him. It was never a source of uncertainty. Rather, it was a source of certainty, because him being the reincarnation of the son of the Sage of Six Paths means that Naruto was bound to become extremely powerful, bound to become important, bound to conquer the hardships in his life, and therefore his quote-unquote underdog status is diminished. What makes Naruto compelling to follow as a character is no longer as interesting because he's bound to succeed in a way. You can make the argument that the hardship of him being a reincarnation is that he has to fight against Sasuke forever, I guess. But when you look at it from that lens, it feels like this is a manufactured conflict. It does not feel organic. When you watch Naruto in part 1, Naruto fighting against Sasuke feels extremely organic. Because of everything that happened to those two characters, they were brought apart. And Naruto had to convince Sasuke not to distance himself, not to be alone, and so they fought. It made sense for their characters, it made sense for their backstories. When you're watching Naruto versus Sasuke in the Valley of the End for the first time in part 1, it never crosses your mind that these are two reincarnations of demigods fighting against each other because of a grandiose destiny. A conflict that has been happening over countless generations of people that are reborn with the same chakra as those two demigods. Now, of course, them fighting in the Valley of the End with Hashirama and Madara statues there is to symbolize there's some history here. The Uchiha and the Senju fought against each other in the past, but it's much more interesting if that works as an echo of history. An echo, not a copy. Not because they are destined to fight each other, but because things in history, they just tend to repeat themselves in a way. And that was the initial intent, because Naruto and Sasuke's conflict is very different from Hashirama's and Madara's conflict. Yes, they are Uchihas and Senjus/Uzumakis. They fight against each other, but it's for very different reasons. The first fight Sasuke has with Naruto is because Sasuke is leaving for Orochimaru to kill his brother, to get more power. The first time Madara and Hashirama fought each other was in the battlefields of the Warring States period. Senju versus Uchiha. Yes, you could say that Sasuke wanting to be alone, going for Orochimaru, and then in the future, in the second battle in the Valley of the End, is Sasuke wanting to be alone again and revolutionizing the shinobi system by pulling all the hatred for himself. Yes, sure, just like Indra did. And yeah, Madara wanted to be alone in a way. He wanted to cast infinite Tsukiyomi, but that's a very different goal, and it's fine. The goals are different, they have different philosophies, they don't have to be reincarnations of each other. The conflict can be thematically similar, but it doesn't have to be because of this grandeur destiny. We'd never know why the chakras of Indra and Ashura go into other people. I mean, I guess you could say it's because they're the children of the Sage of Six Paths, and they had a massive grudge against each other, but is that a reason? Like, mechanically, how does that even work? Why doesn't anybody else reincarnate like that? Or do other people reincarnate like that? I don't know. What I know is that it makes Naruto a predestined character, which I do not enjoy whatsoever. And now him being the child of the prophecy, the self-fulfilling prophecy that Jiraiya fulfilled by going around the world and seeking for apprentices, is no longer a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's a certainty. Because Hagoromo himself says that, well, yes, the Toad Sage's prophecy, yeah, it's all about you being the reincarnation of Indra, man. Yeah, it's a cool prophecy, isn't it? It makes Naruto this very tropey chosen one archetype character, and Naruto was never really supposed to be that. Yes, he was supposed to save the world in the end and bring peace. That's fine and all, but not because of a destiny, if you can even call it that, because the destiny supposedly is to just fight against Sasuke until the end of their lives, and then the cycle continues, and then Naruto breaks that cycle. So yeah, he broke away from that destiny, but he was destined to be that person regardless, the person that would lead the quote-unquote spiritual war against the descendants of Indra, and especially against the reincarnation of Indra. Also, even when Naruto quote-unquote saves Sasuke, it brings him back and ends the cycle of fighting siblings that reincarnate forever. In the very final fight of the series in the Valley of the End, there's something that happens with Hagoromo that kind of diminishes Naruto's feat there. So the sibling feud started when Hagoromo decided to choose Ashura as his successor. He decided to give Ashura his powers and not share them with Indra. Indra was a talented one, Ashura was not. But Ashura knew how to create bonds with people and Indra didn't. So Hagoromo thought better give his powers to Ashura so that he could also share that bond with Indra and teach Indra how to do that. It didn't work, Indra detested that and he went rogue essentially. In the present, when Hagoromo shares his powers again, he decides to share it with Ashura and Indra, or the reincarnates, Naruto and Sasuke, and not just Ashura. He decides to do things differently this time, and that maybe this way they would be able to solve the conflict once and for all. And it is very much implied that the only reason why Naruto managed to solve the sibling rivalry, conflict, whatever you want to call it, was because Hagoromo shared his powers with both him and Sasuke. And you may ask yourself, well, but if Hagoromo hadn't given Sasuke the Rinnegan and Six Paths powers, then Sasuke would have been destroyed by Naruto, because he would have been so much weaker, and that's true. However, even if Naruto beat Sasuke in those conditions, the conflict wouldn't be solved because Naruto wouldn't be able to talk no jutsu Sasuke. If he's just straight out lost to Naruto, without the fight having been extremely difficult, and Naruto having the time and the circumstance to convince Sasuke as they're bleeding to death, then Sasuke would just lose, resent Naruto, perhaps even die in the process, and the cycle would continue. The chakras of Indra and Ashura would reincarnate again, and so Naruto wouldn't have accomplished that. And it's all because of Hagoromo. Now, you could also say that the reason why they managed to even fight against Jubidara was because Hagoromo gave them power, which I'm not a big fan of. I don't like the Otsutsukis. Hagoromo is the least bad one, but Naruto and Sasuke should have gotten their powers a different way, or perhaps from a different person. But the problem with Hagoromo implying that him giving the power to both Naruto and Sasuke this time would be the key to solve this issue between reincarnations diminishes the entire cycle itself, because, oh, Hagoromo just corrected his mistake, so I guess everything was fine now, right? Naruto just loses a lot of credit from what he did. And yeah, it doesn't erase everything that Naruto did, it just implies that, oh yeah, it was just Hagoromo's bad decisions that created this entire thing. Didn't see Black Zetsu lurking around, brainwashing Indra into being a prick. God, I hate the Otsutsuki lore so much. Not to mention, the concept of reincarnation itself was introduced at the last second. We know nothing about its mechanics, which just makes it feel like something Kishimoto pulled out of his rear. And this one doesn't really affect the story all that much. Nothing really changes if Naruto and Sasuke are just parallels to Indra and Ashura and do similar things, have similar personality traits, but are not reincarnations. So all these problems could have been solved by just not making them reincarnations. And I'm focusing more on Naruto and Sasuke here, but the same problem affects Madara and Hashirama. All of a sudden, they were destined to find each other and fight against each other. And everything just gets much, much worse when you take into account the Black Zetsu retcon and everything he did to facilitate the war between the siblings and the reincarnations of the siblings. But I've already made an entire video about the Black Zetsu retcon, which you can watch right here. Also, subscribe to this channel if you haven't done so already, and ring notifications because YouTube doesn't tell people when videos come out. Also, please like the video if you enjoyed it. That helps the channel out as well. And thank you so much for watching.